Words are about to be spoken on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, presented to you by the podcast feed, ad-free shows, networks, and WrestlingAtCoinAlba.com. I'm Jon Alba. That's the broken one, woken one, spoken one himself, Mr. Matt Hardy. What's going on, my man? We are taping this on Thursday. How you doing?
It's a beautiful life. It's a beautiful day here at the Hardy compound. Just got back from Brother Nero's at the Lake of Reincarnation. We did a little promo for GalaxyCon this weekend. If you guys are anywhere in the vicinity of Raleigh, North Carolina, GalaxyCon Raleigh is one of the biggest GalaxyCons that they do across the entire United States. It's massive. And myself and Jeff, we're going to be there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to be meeting, greeting, and deleting everyone, and we look forward to seeing people there. If you are in the area, it is a GalaxyCon. You should definitely come check out. It is huge. It has so much stuff to see. It is well worth the price of a ticket.
It certainly is. GalaxyCon, man, those conventions have been tearing it up over the course of the past couple of years. They really have a wide reach with who they bring in, so that's really, really awesome. Check that out, especially in Hardy country. Come on, guys. What are you doing now? That's where you want to be.
And it's 45 minutes up the road. I get to go to work, and then I get to come back home, sleep in my own bed, hang out with the kids and the fam. You can't beat it.
You got to get that barbecue spot that we've been talking about. That
I have already figured that in. I was thinking about that because they're only open on the weekends too. You know, they have a very small window to be able to eat there. So I thought about that. Absolutely, I might try and do that on Saturday.
Yeah, I was on because I'm like a serial YouTube barbecue binger, and
oh my god, yeah. I'm a serial barbecue eater.
An eater of worlds, if you will.
Yeah.
But I saw this one. I forget the name of it, but I sent it to Matt, and I was like, dude, this looks nuts. So I sent it to Matt, and he's got to go check it out. I'm waiting for your review. Hopefully next week you can review that here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy.
I am here for it. That's one thing that we definitely do share quite well in common. Our love of like seasoned meats.
That sounds like a t-shirt if I've ever heard one. Seasoned meats. Oh my goodness. Nah, man, listen, we are kindred spirits in a lot of ways, and I'm grateful to have you here on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy as well. I am currently right now, I'm in a new place. I haven't set anything up, so if you're looking at this white background and wondering what the hell's that, that's why. But we are rocking and rolling now on the outskirts of New York City. So hopefully you guys will come check out Matt and I do a live show in the New York City area at some point, because I'm sure that will be inevitable because we love doing our live shows. And if you are watching this, you can watch it Friday mornings as you do every single week. You can get early access on adfreeshows.com or live on WrestlingAccordingToAlba.com, which of course is my Patreon. And we love having some of our members of Alba's Army here. We got your boy Josh Fields. Always a wonderful day to hear from you both, he says.
What's up, Josh Fields? One of the OGs.
One of the OGs. Rajiv saying V1.
What up, man? Rajiv always coming with the good comments.
Yes, Adam O'Neill's joining us from overseas in Europe. So Adam, thank you so much.
Hello, Adam. 5 hours ahead, 6 hours ahead.
Here's a good one. Matt saying new tag team season meets. Lowry Seasoning, Salt Colors, Sean Stasiak as the manager.
Oh, my God. There you have it. Yeah, Sean Stasiak has to be in that equation. Meat! He would just run around saying that all the time. Meat!
How did Sean Stasiak feel about the meat moniker?
He certainly embraced it. I remember whenever he was kind of given that title and he knew he was doing that, like we would see him in the hotel or whatever, and he'd go, meat! And it was like, I think he laughed at the joke more than anybody else did, but it was something that he did on the regular. So I assumed he was okay with it. He was kind of a half-ass body guy. He was a real interesting cat, though. He was very different, and I liked him. He was very nice, and he was always cool by me, but he was just a different cat. It just kind of, he was kind of in his own world most of the time.
Is that I'm trying to think, when did he become meat? He became meat, I guess it would have been April 99, something like that. So, we got a gothic baby running?
Evie, you can't be in here because you're naked, but say hi. You going to say hi? Hi. Go get your mother, okay? You got to put some clothes on if you're going to come in here. You got to go put a pretty dress, all right? You can't come in here naked.
So I was thinking that's probably April '99. So if it's April '99, is that a Russo creation or is that a Vince or McMahon creation?
It was a Russo creation.
Okay.
That was definitely a Russo creation. Yeah, especially with having the 3 chicks around them, like, oh my God, this guy is just he's a piece of meat, and we want him. That was a Russo thing.
This episode is about the top 5 pro wrestlers in the world right now, and I'm glad that we can have discussions like that over talking about PMS.
Yeah,
revolving around meat. I feel like we've evolved here in the wrestling world, Matt Hardy. Interesting.
One of the best things is when he was doing the job, they'd say, okay, well, tonight we're gonna have you, Sean, we're gonna beat meat. And that would be like an ongoing job. Okay, tonight, Sean, we're gonna do this, and finishing matches, we're gonna beat meat over and over.
I get it. I see what you're doing.
I know you do. That was it, but that wasn't mine. That was an ongoing joke back in the day from the producers.
I see what you're doing there. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I get that. Oh, man. Matt, you had a busy TNA week, man. Slammiversary up in Montreal, all the crazy travel. I know talent were feeling that left and right, but you got in there okay, and
I
beat
did.
the shit out of Dango, dude.
Oh, yeah. It couldn't happen to a better guy. You know what I mean? As Booker T would say. I enjoyed the hell out of Slammiversary. I really did. Once the match started, and I got in there and I felt the energy and the enthusiasm of that crowd. And then once I finally caught that twist of fate off the top rope, and I dropped him and I got the 1, 2, 3, I made sure to avenge Queen Rebecca and Brother Nero. So he got a couple more twisted fates in it. And it's a good thing the ref kind of like made me snap out of it, because I probably would have twisted fated him 10 times, because that crowd was just going, one more time, one more time, one more time. And they were electric throughout. And it was a kudos to PCO. I'm going to shout out PCO huge on this, because PCO really took a lot of responsibility for this. He went out and he promoted the hell out of this event. This is his area in Montreal. They love him there. Speedball Mike Bailey, also from that area as well. He was also someone that people love so much. Him and Ali had an excellent match. It was so good, with the Earl Hebner redemption in there also. Yeah. But it was the first time TNA has had a 4,000 plus crowd, and there were 4,200 people in the building. It was amazing, and it's the biggest crowd they've had in almost 13 years, which is great. And it kind of you feel the momentum behind TNA right now. And even the next day when we TV, we had over a couple thousand people. So really, really happy with this turnout. And to you guys who've watched Impact on Thursday night, I had a blast teaming with ABC. I've just gotten to know these guys while I've been at Impact during this run. Ace Austin and Chris Bay. I've known Chris Bay some. I actually worked with him out in Vegas a little bit back in the day for FCW, for Future Stars of Wrestling, whenever he would work out there for a guy named Joe DeFalco. Shout out to Joe DeFalco and Future Stars of Wrestling in Las Vegas. But to work with those guys, it was a blast. We had a 22-minute match with the System, and we had Moose get involved. We had Joe Henry get involved, and it's looking like the Hardy Boys and Joe Henry might find themselves on the same team coming up pretty soon. So that's going to be pretty exciting. Okay. I was just going to say, when you first popped up, John, and the background was entirely white, if you would have hit that Joe Henry smile, I thought you were Joe Henry for a second. Do you believe?
Buddy, I believe. I'm big Joe Henry mark over here. And I don't know if you saw on NXT, they after the show, people got back to their cars and they were signed Joe Henry autograph, like 8x10s on every single car. This guy is a marketing genius.
No, he is. So like we actually sat down. We were sitting at catering over the weekend, and we were just talking about different things. And he was explaining to a couple other wrestlers about, like, if you're going to do YouTube, this is how it needs to be done. If you're going to do TikTok, it needs to be done like this. And if you're going to do Twitter, I would approach it like this. And he had like a different plan to be successful on each one of those platforms, which was pretty brilliant. And he was right in everything he was saying too. I agreed with the majority of it. But yeah, he really is. He knows what he's doing, and he is a marketing genius. And I would almost guarantee you that was his idea. And then he got it approved through the powers that be, and he did it. And I love that it was a thing. The fact that NXT did this 3 or 4 minute package on Joe Henry, a contracted TNA star, promoting him and building him up. And they used footage that, like, is the stuff he used so much, because there's deals where he'll take screenshots of just a sign in the crowd, like, I believe in Joe Henry, at WWE shows, and they posted those. Oh, she got clothes on, so I'll give her an appearance. 1 second, and I'll put you on, okay? Okay, perfect, princess. And then all these different things. And I know Joe had he definitely had input into this because it was very much from his mind and the way he thinks. And then he's having a live concert next week on NXT, and they're promoting it. I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah, Dave's saying, did you guys see the New Orleans Saints player doing the Joe Hendry on all their socials? This guy's just doing everything perfectly right now.
I did. Yeah, it's so great. I mean, the sprawl of the mainstream attention he's getting.
It's like when Daniel Bryan got the yes over,
Yeah, I mean, it is everywhere, and I love to see it, and it's great that it's happening at TNA right now.
And that's when WWE had the machine behind him. He's doing this with TNA. Yes. It's pretty impressive,
Yeah. One thing I even want to say real quick about TNA, something I can notice is TNA, their TV, the sprawl of their TV isn't massive, right? It's on Access TV. And I actually talked to the guy who is kind of the head of this, one of the heads of Anthem, and we were talking about stuff. And the TNA Plus app has grown massively, exponentially over the last couple of years. And just recently it has a lot. Like I know a couple of the shows I've done, like Me vs. Moose, there was a huge boost, a huge gain in viewership there and whatnot. So that's kind of where they're trying to focus the majority of their attention to, almost like when WWE had the network. They try to drive everyone to the network. This is where you can see all the shows, you can see all their TV and this, that, and the other thing. But still, TNA and their social media footprint of putting stuff out there, I can tell with me, how I said, which was a controversial statement, devalued in AEW, or not used in the way I would have liked to have been used. Here at TNA, I have already gained value. It's crazy. Like the amount of cameos I've been getting has increased. The signings we've been doing, the more people that are coming out saying they've seen me on TNA and turning out and being excited and happy to see me in a slot where I'm thriving, that has increased as well. Like everything kind of across the board has increased, and it's TNA, and they don't have a huge footprint on a television network, because they're on Access TV. But just because I'm in that spot and I'm doing good and thriving and I'm being used so well,
and their socials have good reach, Matt. They do good. They do really well with their socials.
They do really well with their socials. And even this Immersed package that was on just recently, like I got a lot of great feedback from that deal. And the fact of the matter is, it feels good to be in a position where you feel momentum again. And momentum is something that's helping us. I mean, something myself and my wife and the kids that we're working on is we have a couple deals with like reality TV shows on, and that's something we're working with. And I would love to do that. Nothing would make me happier. And we have so many different irons in the fires, and there's so many people that are promoters or this and that and the other thing that are trying to reach out and contact me. And I'm just so slammed because I am old school in the capacity, in the fact that I want to handle everything. You know what I mean? I want to be my own guy, so I know everything that's going on. But we have all these cool figures that are coming out. We have some video game stuff we're working on, a lot of cool stuff, which is the most important thing about being an independent contractor, and like betting on yourself. Matt Cardona did such a good job about it. Cody did such a good job on it. And I like being in this environment too. I don't mind being outside of Alexandria. You have to hustle and you have to bust your ass, but you can definitely, you can make it work.
Wolfgang Hardy would be all about a reality show. I know that. That'd be right up his alley.
All about it, yeah. He'd be great for a lot of the dramatic scenes in it too.
Yes. Rajiv saying Matt Hardy versus Nick Nemeth for the title would be quite the main. How about Nick Nemeth win the championship?
I'm here for it. I like Nick Nemeth winning the championship, and I do want to say I think that 6-man elimination match was booked pretty brilliantly. I think it was pretty smart how they did it. The fact that Moose was out early and you realized there was going to be a new champion, and the most important thing is like Joe Henry didn't win, who most people wanted to win, but Joe Henry beat Moose, which if that had been in a one-on-one contest, Joe Henry would have been the world champion. So that automatically gives him credibility because he pinned the world champion and got him out. And then Joe Henry, all his momentum and his popularity was used to turn Josh Alexander heel, which is great. And the next night, Josh Alexander came out, being that he's Canadian as well. He still got massive heat and massive boos, and it's because of what he did to Joe Henry.
He's an amazing talent, isn't he?
He truly is. Yeah. And it's one of those things, I've never got to be around him a lot. So this is my first run of like getting to know him a lot. And, I'm very excited to work with him in the future. He's an extremely talented guy.
Yeah, I've been a big Josh Alexander fan for years now, and I've gotten to know him a little bit, and I think he's just fantastic. But yeah, Nick Nemeth winning and good TV. That's cool. You got to work with Ace Austin. I first saw Ace Austin, Matt, I think when he was 20 years old in Limitless Wrestling, and to see where he is now, where he is fantastic. I mean, he is a really good pro wrestler.
Yes.
And there are so many great pro wrestlers out there. And that's what our episode this week is going to be about. The top 5 pro wrestlers in the world. We're going to get to that in just a couple minutes here. Blood and Guts went down. And I know you got a lot of thoughts on that. It was quite a spectacle. There was some, there's some interesting stuff that happened, Matt. In the match, there was at least on the surface level, an unprotected chair shot to the head on Jack Perry, but the drama was excellent and it was violent as all hell. What do you think of Blood and Guts?
I enjoyed Blood and Guts, and I owe the Bucks and the Scapegoat a text. I mean to send one. I actually watched it this morning as I was doing cardio. I enjoyed it. I thought it was very violent. It was very aggressive, and it fit good for what they did. And doing it was the Raven and Tommy Dreamer did that, if I'm not mistaken, right? The chair shot like that where they were handcuffed and it was unprotected. It's interesting because that was like a legit chair shot, and it is what it is. I guess it kind of depends on what perception AEW is trying to project, because I know there has been they've been very adamant about not doing unprotected chair shots in the past, and apparently this one was greenlit and cleared, for whatever reason, maybe because it was a big match or the drama. But I don't know. Was there a lot of blowback to that, John?
There was a lot of chatter on social about it, because if you remember, I want to say it was Fyter Fest 2019. I was there for it, the second AEW event. Right. I know you were with WWE at the time, but Sean Spears did an unprotected chair shot on Cody, and it split Cody open. And the Bucks insinuated at the time it was a gimmick chair and just something went wrong. He just caught him on the side of the head or whatever. But that caught a lot of heat. And then this happens in this match. And I think even Corey Graves spoke up about it. And he was like, this isn't meant to be tribalistic, but my career ended because of unprotected chair shots. And we got to be smarter about that stuff. So where do you stand on that? You've taken plenty of your own in the past too.
I have a real unique view. I've taken unprotected chair shots that have been safe to a degree because someone's swinging it, and as soon as they touch you, it pulls back and they don't try and drive it through. The worst chair shots are when they try and drive it through your head. But with that being said, I am an advocate of not doing them. Generally, not doing them. If that was a special occasion and it was, if people felt there was enough reason to do that one, then I'm okay with it. I don't mind it, but I want them to try and do it, the performers to try and do it as safe as possible, which means you swing hard, but as soon as you hit, you're pulling back and you're not driving it through and pushing the brain down and the neck down. Overall, I would say don't do them. But if there is an occasion where you feel like it stands out and it means something and it is worthwhile, then, I don't hate it. I won't say it was terrible. You know what I mean? It was a violent match. And I think this fit in this match if it was going to happen anywhere else. Like the stuff they did with the thumbtacks, and I think they were in Max Caster's mouth, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that just looked really violent, really, really crazy. And that is one thing that I appreciate about this match. I thought it was really good overall. I thought it was what it needed to be. It needed to be a violent stunt show in many ways, and it truly was.
It certainly was. Got a lot of people talking. Let's see what the stakes are that come out of it, because I'm all about that. So we will find out. But all things considered, is pretty good. I thought Toni Storm was fantastic in her segment when Mariah May really wanted to just kill her, quite frankly, for everything that's been going on there. She's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. And even though our list today is going to be focusing on the top 5 men in the world, maybe at some point we'll get to the top 5 women, because I definitely would love to have that conversation with you as well. Anything you want to wrap up on the Bully Ray front? We talked about him last week. There was some good chatter on the internet about it.
Yeah, it was a good episode. People seem to really enjoy it. They liked it a lot. I just saw that they are doing the Tommy Dreamer now has a Busted Open late night, right? Yeah. After dark or whatever. So once again, kudos to Busted Open. I was talking to my wife, who actually used to be on Busted Open back when it was only one night a week, and now they're daily and they're doing doubles, because they're during the day and at night as well. It has grown so much. So congratulations to Dave LaGreca for the vision.
different person.
Dave LaGreca for the vision of Busted Open. Is he really, he's a huge wrestling fan. He loves wrestling. He follows it very closely, and he thought it would be something that could be good and something that could be insightful to pro wrestling fans. And his vision, look at it. It's become a monster.
Yeah, we're big fans of Busted Open here on the Extreme Life of
No
Matt
doubt.
Hardy. So we appreciate all their support. They've given us a lot of support too over the years. So thank you to Eddie and their team and Dave and all of them. Okay, Matt Hardy, we are doing the top 5 pro wrestlers in the world on the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. But before we can, you know what I got to ask. Please hit us with that Matt fact.
Matt fact. Matt eats his filet mignon medium.
Ugh, so close. So close. So close.
I knew that was going to be the reaction you gave too. Actually, I kind of had this one in my back pocket for a while. I've been meaning to update it since I had the medium well Matt fact 20 plus years ago or whatever. So I know we were chattering about steak just recently whenever I rewarded myself with a little steak late at night after the TV tapings, and they cooked it a little less than medium, but it was still very good. But medium for me right now is perfect. You know, things change. I went from medium well down to medium, and you know, just like I definitely a medium steak where it's not cooked so solidly. You just have so much more flavor and taste and softness and whatnot. But it's one of those things, if it is a perfectly cooked medium with like red and pink in the center and still super tasty, it's the best in my book. Oh my God. What are you doing, princess? I'm not Max, so I am Dada. Do you guys want to say hi? Hi. Come say hi real quick. Here. You can come say hi real quick. All right, everybody. Here's a run-in. We have a
superstar.
We have a superstar, a gothic princess. Look at this. Look at this dress.
Wow.
Sorry.
All right. Just hey, look. All right, look at everybody. What do you want to say? Tell them.
Hi.
Tell them, say, I am the gothic baby.
I'm the Gopper baby.
And you have a book, right?
A book.
Is your book good?
Look what I got.
Yeah, I know.
What Barty got?
Oh, Barty has a big truck. Okay. All right, Evie, say bye. Say have a good day.
A good day.
All right. Here,
Bye, Barty.
Let me give Barty's moment real quick. Here you go, Barty. Come here real quick. Now, Barty, what did
look at Barty's hair.
Yeah, look at Barty's hair. He got his hair did. Barty and I, we have been working together, right?
Yeah.
And Barty, you are me.
I am you.
We are the same.
We are the same.
Yeah, that's our little thing. Good job. High five.
I can't believe how big he's getting.
I can't either. And he's like, his personality is really coming out now. And he's getting smart. It's almost scary how smart he's getting it for. He's very advanced, both physically and mentally.
2 is. It's actually 4.
That's easy.
That's so easy.
That's
It's
so
actually
easy. Right?
4.
Even though it's 1 + 1, 2.
All right. Tell everyone, say goodbye from Barty the Fearless.
Bye.
All right.
See
Take
you
care,
later,
buddy.
Barty.
You guys head out and we're going to do our deal. Okay. And
I'm
I'll be
gonna
the
come
same
down and see him
jeans
soon, all
I
right?
have the same jeans.
You have the same jeans?
Yeah.
We're the same.
Oh.
You are me.
I am me.
We are the same.
We are the same.
All right. Okay. See you guys. Evie, head out, baby. Go outside. I'm going to finish. All right. I love your dress. You look so gorgeous. You look like a little vampire.
That's what makes the extreme life different, because it truly is. This is your life. This is an encapsulation of your life. You know, when we launch it, I think people think, oh, they're telling stories about his career, but it's so much more than that. You know, like
it's not just the past. There's a lot of present and future happening here every single week.
Certainly is. Certainly is. Regarding your steak, Matt Green says, we're getting there, John. Medium rare, tenderloin. You'll never come back, Matt. He says.
Oh, there we go. Okay. All right.
Here, real quick, before we get into it, Dave asking, do either of you think Tony returned a hair too soon, and that, coupled with the lackluster explanation from Mariah last week, has cut May off at the legs just a little bit? I do think, Matt, let me say this. I think sometimes in wrestling, because we get a hot angle, a promoter can jump the gun a little bit on rushing something. Like, remember when Punk wins in Chicago in 2011, leaves with the WWE Championship, he's back 2 weeks later. If sometimes you just got to let things marinate a little bit.
I agree. And I do agree with his comment as well. I think if it would have been a little while longer until we got Tony Storm back, it would have benefited the whole angle a little bit. I would have liked to have seen a couple weeks of just huge heat on Mariah May and let her just bask in that.
Yeah, it's easy when you got a hot angle, you want to get to it, but
I mean, it's super tempting too, but because once again, I mean, AEW, they're working on re-signing their TV deal. They want to put forth their best foot, right, on everything they do. They want big matches. They want hot angles. They want the crowd into everything. And sometimes it's hard to be very disciplined and sit back and wait a couple weeks. But sometimes if you do that, it means a lot more for both your heel and your babyface. And I think one of the most important things that AEW should focus on too is like, once again, the momentum these characters get, like maximize and optimize that momentum always. Don't just like get something good and then like rush it and go too fast with it, because it's important to maximize those characters, because at the end of the day, I think what draws viewers in the most and makes them emotionally attached to your show and your different characters is just how much they care about those individual characters.
Sometimes you just got to let it play out. That's what we say here.
Correct.
On the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy. Matt says, I feel like it's tough as they want to put on a show given the WBD deal and political stuff on TV last night. Otherwise, 100% agree with letting it sit. I saw a great graphic. I don't know if you saw this. Biden went live right as Dynamite went live. And the old Eddie Kingston addresses his enemies graphic. Someone put Biden on it, said Joe Biden addresses his enemies, and I popped huge for it. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, and it has been too. I mean, just for all wrestling programs, I mean, the news has just been insane the last couple of weeks. So I mean, people are obviously tuned into that. The political scene in the U.S. is a pro wrestling story.
The assassination attempt happened while you and I were on stage in Atlantic City, and I pulled you off to the side. We literally just got off, and I go, they just tried to assassinate Trump. And you were like, what?
Yeah, no, I mean, that is going to be so memorable. I will never forget that when you just grabbed me, and you said, oh my God, they just tried to kill Trump. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
My phone was blowing up while we're on there.
Yeah. I mean, I felt mine a little bit too, like going off, and it's funny. And then I'd had a couple texts, but yeah, that was a very memorable moment. And I mean, and since then it has been nonstop, it's just doing the, they did the old bait and switch with Biden and Kamala. I mean, it's crazy.
It was me all along, Austin.
Right. It's just once again, and they were trying to once again, like jump on those numbers. They're trying to put out the best show possible, to put their best foot forward, and especially if they're competing against sporting events, which always do big and massive numbers. All pro wrestling shows are, because live TV is what drives. The scenario in your company more than anything in this day.
And we got the Olympics going on now too. So
that's gonna be that's going to be a huge deal too. Yeah.
So we will see what comes from all that. Zaslav and Tony Khan reportedly are meeting in Paris. So maybe they'll get across the finish line, proverbially and literally, there in Paris for the Olympics. Okay. So I was live on WrestlingAccordingToAlba.com the other night. We were having a conversation. We were doing Ask Alba. I always do a Q&A every week with my patrons. And one of them, Matt Green, who's in here live, mentioned how, I believe he said that he thought that Ospreay was the best wrestler in the world right now. And we got into this whole conversation about what constitutes the best in the world. Like, what makes someone among the top 5 best pro wrestlers out there? There's so many qualifiers, because if you ask one person, they're going to say, oh, it's this. And you ask another person, they're going to say, it's this, and this. So I asked you, I texted you, I said, gun to your head, who do you think is the best pro wrestler in the world? And we'll get to who you think is your number one. We're going to do a little top 5 backwards countdown here. Yeah. But when I ask you on the surface, what makes someone one of the best in the world? What are Matt Hardy's qualifiers?
I mean, well, to begin with, I will say, naming the best wrestler in the world is something that is very subjective too. It just depends on the person's personal interest in many ways. What are they looking for? To me, someone who has done this insanity for 32 years, the first thing I'm going to look at is like, who is truly a good, technically strong pro wrestler, but who is going to make the most money for a company or for an entity. That is what stands out when it comes to being a great wrestler. At the end of the day, like who is the most valuable? Is probably because I look at pro wrestling as a business more than anything else, where I don't think of it as much someone who is great mechanically if they're not going to make as much money as someone else would. So that would be my first that would be my first statement, is that I am looking for someone who is actually a good wrestler and can perform and go out and put on a hell of a match and tear the house down, in any kind of capacity or in different matches, but also like how many people like this person, who supports them, how over are they, who would buy a ticket to see this person, who would spend money to get a pay-per-view to watch a match that is headlined by this person. That is more important than anything else to me when it comes to naming the best wrestlers in the world.
Okay, so you would say them being an attraction raises their equity in a conversation like this over what their in-ring skill set is?
Absolutely. Yeah, them being an attraction, them being a draw, people willing to spend money on them. Money is the bottom line at the end of the day in pro wrestling.
I guess I'm asking that because there are so many unbelievably talented and fantastic professional wrestlers out there who maybe are not in a place where they have that opportunity to be
That's true.
a draw yet.
And also where you're at makes a difference as well. I mean, the amount of the amount of platform you have to project your abilities. And whenever you list it as an attraction, I don't know if attraction would be what I'm saying, because there are people that are great attractions in different ways, but like at the end of the day, it's like who's going to make your company or who's going to be put in a spot to make the most money. I think that equates to the person who's the best wrestler.
But like, let's go back to 2016 for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about AJ Styles, who was tearing it up in New Japan. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing some trailblazing stuff over there. He's a huge reason why Bullet Club, 2015 more, Bullet Club gets super hot. Kenny Omega becomes his heir apparent. He's doing some of the best work of anyone in the world, but it's not going to be a huge draw to the American wrestling audience because that promotion is not really on anyone's radar at the high level that it is more so now.
Right.
So would that mean that AJ Styles was not a top 5 best pro wrestler in the world at the time?
By my definition, probably so. Yeah.
Wow. Summer nights are on my radio, Matt Hardy. I've been binging old school Sammy Hagar, Van Halen, because I am going to see Sammy Hagar perform Van Halen songs in New Jersey at the end of this month, and I picked up my tickets with Game Time. It was one of the easiest processes that I've ever had with my ticket buying experience because Game Time makes getting tickets for concerts and events faster and easier. Even if you don't buy tickets right away, prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer you get to the start of the show with killer last minute deals, all in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying concert tickets. Matt, you've got a very busy schedule. You're not always able to plan out if you can actually go to a concert or go to an event, can you?
No, it is tough to sometimes. And I know now my next 7 or 8 weekends are booked. But I tell you, whenever I do find a good concert and it's on a weekday and I am free, if I am getting tickets for it, Game Time is where I start.
That's because they got their last minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. And you save even more with their exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event or the concert, whatever it may be. With their zone deals, you save even more than that when you choose a section and you let Game Time choose the actual seats itself. And you know they're very transparent because you toggle on that all-in pricing feature. And it's going to show you the entire total up front. And Matt Hardy, we love transparency here at the Extreme Life of Matt Hardy, don't we?
We absolutely do. And they're the most transparent people you could possibly get your tickets from. Game Time, it is one and done. They let you know everything in advance. And they're very upfront. They're very transparent. And we do love that here.
And they got the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying concert tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code HARDY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code HARDY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Interesting. Okay. So even though he was doing like really groundbreaking work, 5-star classics, because it wasn't on a certain stage or in front of a certain audience, you wouldn't qualify that?
I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but once again, it would make it harder for him. Because once again, the people I can tell you, I mean, the majority of the people I'm going to pick are probably going to be from WWE because that's the biggest promotion. And then the other people are going to be from AEW. Like TNA, people in Japan, those people, it's just they're not going to be as prevalent in this list because their platform isn't as big. And that's something else that is a qualifying factor, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's fair. I wanted to put that out there before we dive in here. I had a really tough time coming up with the top 5. I had a really tough time. Before we get to number 5, do you have any honorable mentions you'd like to say? And we're just talking men here. We'll hopefully get to do a women's episode in the future, but any honorable mentions from any promotion that you'd like to throw out there?
I mean, there's a ton of honorable mentions for sure. I'm going to say, because probably if you just were looking at technical ability, he is one of the ones that stands out, and that'd be Will Ospreay. I would say he is definitely an honorable mention because he didn't squeeze into my top 5 there. Let me think about other guys.
Interesting. I'm so excited to get into this with you.
Yeah.
Matt Green says Takeshita.
Yeah, I just Takeshita's still building his value, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would put him as an honorable mention. I'm sure I'll have other people I think of. I kind of locked in my top 5 and hadn't even thought about it past that.
That's fine.
But Will Ospreay stands out because he is an anomaly. He is different. He is unique, and he is a wrestler unlike any other that I've ever seen. Okay. And I think in time he is, without a shadow of a doubt, going to be in that. He will be in my top 5 before it's all said and done.
That's fair. That's more than fair. I'm going to give 2 honorable mentions. 3 I'll give from WWE and AEW. I'll throw Swerve Strickland in my honorable mentions because I think Swerve has proven that he is one of the most well-rounded talent in the world right now. As a character and as a performer, he's exceptional. He's the AEW champion. He's got a big main event match at All In. He definitely belongs in that conversation, but because this is such a tight list, I put Sami Zayn in my honorable mentions, who I think is maybe the most versatile pro wrestler of all time.
I would honorably mention Sami Zayn as well.
Mm-hmm. I would certainly put him in that conversation. And one that was really tough for me to leave out because he truly is one of the best in the world is Seth Rollins. And I think Seth Rollins is just exceptional and amazing, but I'll get into my list. Why? Because my list, Matt, is a combination of those things. It's definitely the draw, the attraction, the aura that they project simultaneously combined with their technical ability and what they're capable of doing. And if you know my taste, you'll see some names that you'd expect to come in there in this. But let's get into it, man. What's your number 5?
My number 5 would be Swerve.
Okay, so you are putting Swerve in your top 5.
Yeah, and I think first and foremost, he's the champ. He's in the top position. He is the face of the company right now. And I do really think he's came into his own. I mean, that's a big deal. His positioning in AEW is a huge reason for doing this. But I also think he has been able to hold up his end of the deal, and he has been able to produce when it comes to his position in the company. Even just watching his performance back. I mean, the way the crowd was so into him and Hangman in Blood and Guts last night. I mean, he has really got himself over. I mean, there were times where if I would have been the booker, I would have probably pulled the trigger on him in that 3-way when it was that he was in, that we talked about and had a deep discussion about. But I do like the fact that AEW is saying, like, hey, this is our first black champion, and they're making him as credible as they can possibly do, and he is carrying his weight on his end. I'm a big fan of Swerve. I have been since day one. I like him as a person and a performer, and he definitely he definitely fits in this top 5 in my opinion.
He's amazing. He's top 6 or top 7 for me. It's a really hard list to ultimately compile. I've been a huge fan of Swerve for almost 8-9 years now. I have watched him grow into the performer he is. I think WWE missed badly with him. I think he could have been a really big star in WWE, and they missed badly with him, and AEW was very smart to snag him. Tony Khan saw a lot in Swerve right away, and to his credit, he really allowed him to grow. Think of where Swerve is now versus where he was with the Swerve in Our Glory stuff, right? Just not that long ago. What has he improved most, in your opinion, over the last year or so?
I think just like aura, I think his aura has improved. I think he carries himself as a champion. I think he carries himself as a very serious competitor. I mean, he's always had the talent, and I also think he's also very judicious in how he utilizes his offense, and he's very smart. And I think he's working very smart right now. He's turned into an even smarter worker, and I think he looks like legitimate as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion.
I agree with you. Dave saying Swerve is the perfect example to me of a guy who has always had what it took and needed an opportunity. Wasn't handed anything, worked his way in the last 12 months from opening Rampage to world champion. And Matt, sometimes that's it. It's just you need the opportunity, right?
Yeah, I mean, nobody knows what you can truly do until you're given an opportunity. And sometimes when you go somewhere, you have to start from the bottom and work your way up. But there's no shame in that. It's something you should look at as a challenge. Something you should be excited to try and work your way up and show people who you are, make them remember how good you are.
Yeah, certainly so. I love that response. Again, him not being in my top 5 is not indicative of his quality and caliber of a performer. I love Swerve. I think he's fantastic. And this is amazing indie town. Look, Speedball Mike Bailey didn't make my list. And I think Speedball, and I know you'd probably agree with me, technically speaking, Speedball is one of the best in the world right now.
Without a doubt. And once again, he is kind of suffering from lack of platform in many ways.
Yeah.
Speedball Mike Bailey is awesome because not only is he a great wrestler in that style, he gets every style. I'm a huge advocate of Mike Bailey since I've been around him. I got lots and lots and lots of love for Mike Bailey, and I see big things for him, whatever he ends up doing. But he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He gets it. He gets how to do today's style. He gets how to do yesterday's style, and he understands pro wrestling. He is a master of understanding who he's in the ring with and how to work with him.
Yeah, different styles. Absolutely. He's just fantastic. Big Mike Bailey fan here. Okay, my number 5. This is a person that I think would have worked in any era of pro wrestling. I've talked at length about him on this show. And if you're a subscriber of WrestlingCoinAlba.com, you know that I'm a huge fan of this person who I believe has a basic match structure that he follows pretty much every time he works. And yet it works to perfection every single time he does. Matt, my number 5 is the man who holds the record for the longest Intercontinental Championship reign of all time, Gunther, in WWE. I think he is the perfect wrestler to pair with any up-and-coming babyface who has to punch up at life, and he is believable. He's maniacal. His ring work is fantastic. He's a great character. He's imposing. He can cut a solid promo. He checks off every box for me. What do you think about Gunther?
I mean, I agree. And actually, I'm going to put him in my honorable mentions because his name popped in my head whenever we started, trying to narrow down to the top 5. So, yeah, I think Gunther is great at what he's doing. And I do agree with what you say. I think he would work during any era with what he's doing currently right now. He's very hard hitting. He's very physical and he's very straightforward. And people like that, especially in this day and age. He's real through and through.
Yeah, his versatility sells it for me. Gunther could have as good of a match with Sami Zayn as he had with The Miz, which he did, and that's not a knock on The Miz, but Miz is like your prototypical sports entertainment wrestler, right? And then you have Sami Zayn, who's your pro wrestler's wrestler. The fact that he can pull a fantastic match that tells a similar story with slightly different action out of both of them, there's one commonality there, and it's Gunther, and he is just so fantastic. He's a future world champion. Do you think he's a world champion by year's end?
Possibly, if not by year's end, within a calendar year from today. I would say yes. You will see him as a world champion.
He's got the match at SummerSlam, so we'll see if he wins it there. But to me, there are so many fantastic matches on the table. I hope we see Gunther and John Cena. I hope we see Gunther and Cody.
Right.
Those are such great David versus Goliath matches. So, Rajiv just says it's just a matter of time before we get Gunther versus Cody. I don't know, Matt, like you've seen some Gunther matches. I think his match with Ilya Dragunov is one of my favorite matches I've ever seen. What does he do so well from an in-ring standpoint as a heel, as a commanding heel, that elicits the great babyface performances out of his opponents?
I mean, first and foremost, I think what really stands out to me about Gunther is something that Michael Hayes really preached to Jeff and I and really pounded into our head over and over. The people that are watching you in the first few rows, they have to look at you, because he said, we need to get more physical. We need to be more violent. We need to have better punches. And people need to believe that if they got into a fight with you, you would whip their ass.
Yeah.
Like the people you're watching need to believe that if they got in a fight with you, you would whip their ass badly. They need to be intimidated by you. And I think Gunther is the perfect example of that because you see this guy getting there and start chopping people and just his physicality and just how aggressive he is. People know, like if I got into a fight with Gunther, he's going to whip my ass. So I don't want that to happen. So they buy him. He's credible right off that, just from people watching him, regardless of how much knowledge they have about pro wrestling or this art form, right? And then on top of that, he understands that whenever you work somebody over and you bring them back, like the way he does, like hope spots, and whenever someone makes a comeback, he's just very smart in how he does it and just very credible. And I feel like the storytelling he does makes very good sense. He understands how to do something and give people an opportunity to open the door to start making a comeback. So I think he's very smart in how he works his matches.
His selling reminds me a lot of Brock's selling, and I think Brock is one of the most underrated sellers in pro wrestling history.
No, Brock's incredible. Brock is an incredible entity on his own. Yes, and there is some comparison between Brock and a Gunther, no doubt.
Yeah, so it's all interesting there. Let's get to your number 4.
John in here.
Oh, it's okay. You want to see John in here? John is here. Okay, let us finish up. We're talking about this list. Okay, come back in a little bit. All right, princess. Okay, here. Look, one time. You ready? Look, everybody wants to see you. All right, say hey, John. Look at John. You gonna wave?
Evie.
Wave. All right. Tell everyone. Say enjoy the podcast.
Enjoy the podcast.
All right. Yay. Okay. Go see Mama. Come back in a little bit. Okay, bye, princess.
Oh, goodness gracious. Who knows? Maybe she'll be on a top 5 list one day.
She may.
Maybe. What's your number 4, Matt?
My number 4 is MJF.
Okay.
I decided to go with MJF because I do think his nascence throughout AEW has been phenomenal. He's a day one guy. Him working through and working with all the names, he came through. He did the stuff with Jericho. He did the stuff with Punk, which was great. And he was very slowly and organically built into a main eventer. And I feel like almost more than anybody, he represents what AEW is in many ways. He's kind of like the face of AEW in many ways. And, there was this whole bidding war of 2024, which whatever, that was a way for him to work it into his character. And I feel like the stuff that he did when he was champion, just the matches that he can pull off, although he's a heel and typically he doesn't work that way, he understands every different type of style as well, and he can excel in each of those styles of wrestling as well. And just now to have him back, and the match that they had last week on Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken, the 59-minute, 58-second match, whatever, once again, just shows his value. And I think he really gets it as a heel. That is very important to AEW. They need people that legitimately are trying to get heat, that piss people off, that are able to, drop their fear of being viewed as an asshole. And I know he does. You know what I mean? He is cool with that. He's not afraid to go out and be booed, be hated. And that's very important in this day and age. So I give number 4 to MJF.
So I was going to wait for you to bring up MJF before I got into him here, because I'm very conflicted on having MJF in my list versus not having in my list. Because I think Max, again, a guy I've been following for almost 8 years, I think he's generationally talented and has the highest ceiling of pretty much anyone in the game. He's amazing now.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't truly believe we've even seen Max anywhere close to his potential. I think Max is capable of being top guy in the industry. And for that reason, I was going to tell you, I was going to make him like my 5B on the outside of this. And I think if you were to ask me this question a year from now, he probably is in there. And I have so much respect for everything he's accomplished. But as I round out my list, you'll see why he's not. And that's just something I'll get more into. But anyone who has Max in their top 5, I'm not going to complain at all.
So he's an honorable mention for you.
He is an honorable mention for me. I'm not going to complain at all for anyone who does have him, because what I hate with people with Max is they're like, he's a great talker, but what does he do in the ring? Because you don't see him wrestle a lot. But every time you watch him wrestle, he's just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that match that he just had with Ospreay, the match he had with Danielson, the matches he had with Punk, they were all excellent.
And that's also one of those things. I feel like if you book him in a smart way, he doesn't wrestle as much because you don't want those diehard fans, the sickos. You don't want them going like, "Oh my God, he's just such a great wrestler." I think the more he comes out there and does things that gets heat, the more he does promos and like shits on the people or the town or whatever it may be. Just be arrogant and better than everyone else. I think that is where his magic is, and that's where he understands how to remain a heel and how to remain having heat.
Yeah. So understand that when I say Max is just on the outside,
He's an honorable mention for you.
When I say that, though, it's because I truly believe that we still haven't even seen his potential yet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why. My number 4 is someone who I don't think, Matt, we're going to be able to say is on our list much longer. And that's why this could be an episode we do every year for all I care, Matt. We could do this every year and revisit this. But this is a guy that is not going to be on the list that much longer because his full-time wrestling career is coming to an end.
This is.
And he's my all-time favorite professional wrestler. It's Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson, at his age where he is right now in his career, he is, there's your reaction shot, he is doing as good of work as he's ever done in his entire career. I mean, his match quality has not suffered. Mm-hmm. And he has a way of going about crafting each match right now in a way where he is able to take on a multitude of characters within the context of his matches. He will work a heel style. He'll work a babyface style, and he elicits the same emotion in a way that sets up his opponent to always come out looking great. And he's so selfless, maybe selfless to a fault with how he works with people.
Right.
He is just someone, Matt, that I fully believe when he's fully retired, or at least mostly retired, everyone will look back at him and say, he is the Bret Hart of his generation. He is truly the greatest of all time. He's my number 4.
Yeah. He's a name that also popped in my head, much like I said, Gunther did before, and he would also be an honorable mention on my list for sure. But he's one of the greatest of all time. He is one of the guys from a size barrier, broke down a lot of doors for smaller people, which is extremely commendable and something that will be remembered for a long time. And he's just special, man. He's truly a one of a kind, and there'll never be another like Daniel Bryan.
I totally listen.
Bryan,
you're pilled. No, I'm totally in agreement with you. He is just goated beyond belief as far as I'm concerned. Okay, Matt, you're number 3.
My number 3, even though he's not active right now, he'll be active again very soon, is Roman Reigns.
Okay. Well, you and I are on the same page here, Matt Hardy, because Roman Reigns is my number 3 as well.
Because Roman Reigns, he almost seems like he's a star so big that he's almost beyond wrestling right now. The promotion and the growth that has gone into the last few years of this guy, and this is a guy that Vince always wanted to make, the top guy, the number 1 guy for a long time. And then finally we got to this bloodline saga, and the storytelling was great, and he turned heel. They tried to kind of force him. He was force-fed to all the viewers as a babyface for so long. And then once they finally, accepted what was going on and they allowed him to become a heel, he thrived. And it was amazing. And that is truly what would get him over and push him to the next level. And just as time went on, him doing this bloodline thing, the way he was revered and the way he was feared by the people in his own faction and then by his opponents, and he could still produce and have these great matches. And I still think there's this crazy story about him having leukemia and returning. People like him as a person as well. But I think he is viewed now as even more than a big professional wrestler. He's done some movies and whatnot. He's just a big star. He's a big entertainment star more than anything else. And when he comes back as a babyface and is leading a bloodline against the current bloodline, brother, he is going to be over, in all caps, OVER.
Listen, I think that if you were to ask me to name probably 25 wrestlers off the top of my head who in-ring, like purely on an in-ring standpoint, are stronger and more technical than Roman Reigns, I probably could. Mm-hmm. But
I got really beat up by Wolfie.
Maybe really beat up by Wolfie?
Yeah.
You look okay though. You're not bleeding. You're not bruised.
Maybe
Hey.
Wolfie's the top
Oh,
5
yeah.
wrestler in the world.
Maybe you got to let Wolfie know. We only do that at jiu-jitsu. All right.
No, he just fighting me over and over again, so I fight back.
I know you fight back. Trust me. 6 years from now, Barty, he isn't going to want to do that.
Tell Barty to tell Wolfie that he's the head of the table, and that's
All right. All right. Hey, listen. Next time Wolfie wants to start a problem, say, "Hey, listen, Wolfie, I'm the head of the table." Okay. You got it? Okay, it's a good smell. All right, get out of here. See ya.
I'll see you next time when Wolfie beats me up even more.
Okay, great.
Dave saying the Roman pop is going to be Hardy's return at 33 eardrum piercing.
Yes, it's going to be insanity.
But as I was saying, if you were to ask me to name like 25 wrestlers off the top of my
Right.
head who, like, from a technical standpoint, are stronger, quote unquote, than
Yeah,
Roman Reigns.
no, I don't think that'd be challenging at all, and
Yeah.
I agree with that statement.
But that's not to say Roman Reigns is a pretty damn good athlete and pretty damn good pro wrestler, like in the ring. And that match at Mania, for all the gaga, they still had like 20 minutes of really good action in it. And I give him a lot of credit for that because I think that's an underrated part of his game. But you talk about aura. Roman Reigns is the biggest aura of anyone in pro wrestling.
Yes.
He understood how to change his promo cadence to fit the character that he was doing. That helped. No more suffering succotash. Like, that changed everything about his presentation. Right. And what I love about Roman Reigns, I don't think enough people talk about, Matt. I think Roman Reigns is the best shit talker in the ring in wrestling. Like, you know, I was always taught this from training to be a manager too, and just watching heels. When you're getting those heat spots, you can throw someone in a headlock. But while you're doing that, you got to be jaw-jacking the crowd. You got to be talking smack to the opponent. That's what separates someone who's trying to be a pro wrestler from someone who is in the moment being a top guy. Could you provide any insight on that in terms of working heel like that?
I mean, it is important, especially being able to pick your spots and know when to do things. I mean, there's a lot of memes out there, you know, and gifs by Roman Reigns. Like, look at that, no pop. You know what I mean? Just any of those times, you know, whenever you have good content that actually pops people, and especially when it sounds organic. And I think, like you said, with his aura, the way he played the leader of the bloodline, the head of the table, his aura was so organic and feels so real. I mean, he feels like he's a guy who's leading a Samoan mafia. And I think that's what makes him so credible. And he was real good at getting those cheap shots in, you know, whenever it was there, and he's talking some trash, talking some smack.
Good quote from Dave here. It says, Max is great too, but does it a totally different way. Max makes you laugh. Roman makes you feel like he's taking his opponent's soul.
Solid comment. Good job there, Dave.
It's a good point. Okay, so he's both our number 3. We're going to have different top 2. Who's your number 2?
My number two is Seth Rollins.
Okay, so Seth was an honorable mention for me. I think Seth's one of the greatest of his generation. Physically talented, good promo, outlandish character, but he just missed my top 5. Why does Seth freaking Rollins make your number 2?
I mean, Seth has been doing great work on WWE TV for a decade. You know, and he has been one of the guys that has carried the company. I think whenever, you know, you have periods where there's been injuries or people hurt, whatever, I always think Seth is able to step up and step right into a role and put the company on his back and move it forward. And I think he's done a great job with that. He's done a great job at like reinventing, trying to be different. He tries things. I feel like he's willing to step outside of his comfort zone, step outside of the box and do different things. But at the end of the day, whenever you get into that ring and you're having matches, like, there's no one who is consistently better than having great matches than Seth Rollins.
He is the benchmark for consistency over the last decade. I think that for me, the disconnect with Seth, because I know you're a big character guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what Seth's character is. I haven't known what Seth's character is for the last 3-4 years. Seth freaking Rollins. I'm not sure who that guy is. He's a guy who comes out, has great matches, cackles, and wears outlandish stuff. It's fun. It's cool. Like, I get that. But I struggle to put all those pieces together. And this is me micromanaging and being very critical over someone that I think is one of the best in the world. Not that I believe your character in pro wrestling has to be this, oh, he's this gimmick, he's this gimmick, he's this gimmick. But I do think if you were to ask me who is Seth Rollins, I would struggle to answer that question. Maybe that's me being harsh. I don't know. I mean, Dave's here saying he's a visionary and a revolutionary. But I don't know. What do you think of that criticism?
I think that's fair. I really do. I think that's fair criticism. I look at it in a different way where like Seth Rollins is so good that he is so delusional over the top. It almost reminds me a little bit of Matt Hardy V1 when he thought the universe, the universe circled around him. I feel like Seth Rollins is doing that same thing. And he feels like he's such a big star. He's like a trendsetter and like he knows the cool fashion aware, which like nobody else is even in tone or in touch with that. And he does that cackle, which is like to be over the top and super annoying in the majority of the time, especially if he's a heel. And I feel like that is what he's tuned into, that he's this guy that's almost like delusional in some capacities because he is so great in the ring. He also thinks he is so great as a fashion icon, as a statement maker and everything else he does. And I think that's where that initially came from, leaning into his heel aspect to kind of be annoying to people. And that's just kind of what he's carrying on.
Now he's a babyface.
I know, but what I'm saying, I do think we're at the point where he is ready to evolve and change and do something different.
I always get beat up by Maxwell.
You got beat up by Maxwell now?
Now it's a gimmick.
So now you're fighting Wolfie and Maxwell? Is it a 2-on-1 handicap match?
They are the original Hardy Boys.
I was working very hard to fight that hard.
Okay, well, go out there.
And I almost beat them.
You almost beat them? Well, hang in there. You'll get them soon. Good job. Give me an update later. Thumbs up. Good job.
I'll give you matches one day.
Okay. Oh, you'll give me a match one day. Thank you.
When Barty Hardy gets his hands on Maxwell and Wolfie, he will kill them.
Yes. When Barty Hardy gets his hands on Maxwell and Wolfgang, he will kill them.
Matt Green saying, don't forget Seth wants to take your eye. Ask Ray. Do you remember that? Do you have any recollection of that?
Ooh, I do remember that. that was wild. That once again, I mean, I don't know who wrote that, but boy.
Really, you got to guess who wrote that?
Yeah, I mean, I am guessing, but just like I mean, I got to think someone pitched that to him, right? And then he just bought it. I mean, I feel like one of the writers had to pitch that to him. I don't.
Someone probably said in a pitch, "Oh yeah, Seth beats him and Ray beats him. It's eye for an eye," and he probably heard it and said, "God damn it! He's got to lose his eye, and then the eye's gonna pop out, and then he's gonna puke when he sees it. He's gonna puke."
And it's going to look like Glenn from The Walking Dead when Negan hit him with the barbed wire bat and his eye pops out. Oh, it's fucking great. That's good shit, pal.
That's how it. There's no way that's not how it happened. It absolutely happened that way. By the way,
I do remember thinking like, oh my god, it was almost like slightly embarrassing.
Yes, slightly.
Maybe I'm trying to soften the blow a little bit here too. It's like,
that's your boy Ray. That's like your favorite singles opponent ever.
Right.
And thankfully, his eye's been since repaired after it fell out of his face.
Thank God, his vision's okay.
Oh man! And so, you brought up that Walking Dead. I'm not a Walking Dead fan, and I've seen one episode of The Walking Dead as it aired live.
It was that one.
I was sitting in my living room with my best friend Taylor. We're watching it. She was a huge fan, and we're watching it, and this happens. She's like, "It's gory, but it's not like that gory." And then you see his fucking eyeball.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh."
That episode, that whole scene, was a huge. There was a huge controversy, right? Well, yeah, but also there was a huge controversy because it turned a lot of people off from The Walking Dead to that scene. Glenn was one of the more popular characters too, but it was because they did this thing where they were like proactively taking out these bad guys that were Negan's guys, and they didn't realize like Negan had this whole system built, and then he was going to like get revenge on them now. So it was a payoff to a degree, but that was a very controversial event that kind of hurt The Walking Dead a little bit
Yeah.
at that time.
Oof. Yeah, that was. Ugh. All right, my number 2 has both of his eyes, thankfully. And I've got a feeling I know where he stands on your list. We can get to that in a second. But my number 2 is Cody Rhodes. Cody is. Yeah, it's funny, Matt. When Cody lost at WrestleMania 39, which he shouldn't have, if you haven't heard, when he lost, I tweeted out at the time, this was their chance to make their next John Cena. And I got a lot of people who said, there's no way Cody's ever going to be on that level of John Cena. Here we are a year and a half later. I very much think Cody is in the same stratosphere of what John Cena embodied. Mm-hmm. And pro wrestling is a little different right now versus what it was then.
Yeah.
But he embodies all of the great characteristics that Cena had as your top babyface. He does it in a way where his character has a little more vulnerability. And he's a hell of a worker, too, with a fantastic promo. And sometimes, we get into the memedom with Cody where, it's the Codyverse and it's him against the world. And, you can lean into that if you want. But if I were building my company around one person, he's on my short list for people that I want my company to be built around in every single aspect. He's a fantastic representative PR-wise for the company. He's got a great theme song. He's my number 2. And I got a feeling he's probably your number 1.
Yes. My number 1 is Cody Rhodes. And I'm pretty sure you were going to guess that too, because whenever I did respond to you, my response back after I saw your question of who is the best wrestler in the world was Cody Rhodes, because he is the guy right now that's the face of the WWE. And that year that he went through, so many people were upset when he lost at WrestleMania a year ago, and then he had that journey, and we went all the way up through to WrestleMania 40, and when he won, people rejoiced, and he did so much stuff in between. He busted his ass. He worked so hard, but in every little match he had. The stab he had with Brock was it beat the shit out of himself for the course of that year, and he earned winning the Rumble, and he was going to turn away, but then the fans demanded WWE follow through and do the whole Cody angle, which just shows you how much support he has and how beloved he is. So yeah, Cody was automatically the guy because he is the face of the WWE, and you are correct. He is orbiting that Cena territory where he is a huge star. I'll say he is a lot less polarizing than John Cena was. Yeah. So Cody is universally beloved in many ways. He's great at what he does. He's a great promo. He's a great character. And it's crazy as this sounds, I mean, that year of him not winning the title also put a lot more sympathy on him from diehard fans because they thought WWE screwed up and they should have did it a year ago. And they're not wrong in thinking that. You're not wrong in thinking that. I totally get that and to see where that's coming from. But at the end of the day, Cody Rhodes right now is the top guy in pro wrestling, especially because he's on a full-time schedule. He does so many things right when it comes to the way he does his promos and the things he says and the way he understands the context of the program he is in, all the Make-A-Wish stuff he does currently. He does so much stuff where he bends over backwards for fans and tries to give them things, or he'll see something on social media and he'll reach out to people and make sure they're able to come to the show, whatever it may be.
He's so charitable too, Matt. He's donated so much money to people.
Yeah. So charitable and is doing so much good. Cody is an amazing spot right now, and he definitely stands on top because he also has the biggest platform. He is the WWE champion. He is probably the biggest current full-time active star in the world right now.
If Cody didn't have his WrestleMania story this year, let's say they move forward with Rock versus Roman, is Cody number 1 on this list?
Probably not. I mean, who knows what changes, what events happens. It's hard to say what if you can't see it, but it would have probably not.
So he needed that title win to cement himself.
Yeah, I mean, he needed that title. The finish the story thing became, almost in some ways like a joke, but it also became something that people really were emotionally invested in.
Yeah.
There are people saying, oh yeah, he's going to finish the story. I remember joking with my wife about that, finish the story. And she's like, what is that from? And it's the whole Cody Rhodes tagline. but there were so many people that were so emotionally connected to that, and they wanted him to win the title and finish the story, you know, win the title that his father never technically won and do it for his dad. I mean, there's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of a lot of story in that is feel good material. So it is. Cody Rhodes is without a shadow of a doubt. And it took me, I thought about it for about a minute, and I texted you back. Cody Rhodes.
It's just amazing that we live in a world where like that nearly didn't happen.
Yeah.
Any of the WrestleMania thing. Like it's going to go down as one of the greatest WrestleMania endings ever.
Without a doubt.
It nearly didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest title wins ever, period, in wrestling. Like it's
100%.
So emotional, and grown men crying. Like, I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And it almost didn't happen. So that's just nuts.
It is it is one of those things where I say I'm very proud of Cody for being resilient and persevering and standing up for himself, even the way he pointed after the Royal Rumble, and he pushed the agenda, and then the people backed him up. And I love to see that when the audience has a very clear voice about this is what we want, and then the WWE they follow through with it and they listen to it.
My number one, I think this guy is the single most talented professional wrestler I've ever seen. I think he has had an evolution of his promos in the last calendar year. I think he has encapsulated everything that you want out of a superstar. He has been given a position in recent months where he has taken his equity from here to here. And I believe, Matt Hardy, if he was in WWE, he would be the biggest star in the world. And that is why my number one is Will Ospreay. I think that Will Ospreay has a chance to redefine what meaning being the greatest of all time is. He has a skill set that makes you say, wow, every time you watch him. He knows how to sell. Even though that's always a knock on him. Oh, there's no selling his matches. He knows how to. He knows how to create moments. He's fantastic at creating moments. And that's something I know you're big on, is creating those moments. Mm-hmm. He knows how to hit story beats. Yes. And every time you watch him, you say, wow. I think, Matt, if he's in the main event picture in WWE, there's never been any other WWE superstar like him. That's why he's my number one. What do you think about that?
I mean, I'm with you, and I get that. I get that argument without a doubt. I think he's amazing. Yeah. Let me ask you this, John. Something I'm very curious of. Do you think if Will Ospreay is in WWE, is he used very differently than he is currently used in AEW? What does it look? What does it look like if Will Ospreay? What if he goes to WWE? How is he presented? And does his build, does his nascence to the top happen differently than is happening in AEW?
I don't think it happens as quickly. But I think it happens eventually, because let's be real. And like, I think Ricochet is amazing, right? Ricochet is incredible. Mm-hmm. Ricochet constructively lacks some of the natural charisma and talking ability that Will Ospreay has. Will Ospreay, when he cuts a promo, you feel with that dude. And that makes you a more well-rounded performer. I believe that Will Ospreay would be the biggest star in WWE if given the opportunity to be. Like, if he was given that ball and run with it, because he does things that even Cody can't do. He does things that Roman Reigns can't do.
I mean, he does things that most men can't do.
No, absolutely.
He is an anomaly, no doubt. And he is special. He is gifted.
And he screams superhero. That's what pro wrestling is at the end of the day, right? Sure. You look at these people, and if you're a kid, you're watching that, these guys are superheroes to you. Mm-hmm. So I think that is a situation where if he had that opportunity, we would all be saying that. Now, let's cast that aside, and let's just look at what he's done in AEW and New Japan and on the Indies and TNA. From an in-ring standpoint, when has this guy had a match that's anything below 4.5 stars? You know, like he is just, he's an anomaly. He's an anomaly. It's truly just a case where, and I was literally just about to say this, and Dave took the words out of my mouth. He is a star no matter where he is, and that's why I think that Will Ospreay is the best wrestler in the world right now.
Gotcha. I mean, I get that, and I think if he goes to WWE, his it doesn't happen as fast, but I think it is more impactful. Shh, my turn to talk. I think it doesn't happen as fast, but he also gets some of the WWE machine behind him, and it gets fans more. I think he would do more character work, even more than just him being natural. And like people kind of gravitate towards him as it is, but I think even more character work in the WWE machine behind him, I think it would make people even more emotionally invested into him.
And
I think with AEW, he is focused more on work rate and having these incredible matches, which, I mean, no one can do what he does. So yes, he does stand out. But I think when it's all said and done in a couple of years, whatever platform he ends up on, he will be in the top.
And he's got the theme too. You know, the entrance. Oh, we got a pouting Gothic baby.
What's wrong? Are you okay? What's wrong?
Mom, it's me.
Mama's mean?
Yeah.
Oh, no. All right. Well, guys, let me finish, okay? Just tell everyone, say bye-bye. Say, hope you had a
Bye, guys.
All right. We'll be right out, okay?
Thank you, Marty.
No. Go outside, okay? I'm going to be right out. Here. Just for a minute, okay? You can listen, but be quiet. All right? There you go. Without a shadow of a doubt is absolutely amazing. And like I said, I knew he was. Do you need John badly?
Yeah.
She's going, John. And
That's what Dad my friend me.
all right, yeah, we're friends.
Friend me.
Family, yeah. I'm your family. Yes, we're your family. Yes, man. With Will Ospreay, dude, he is a special deal, and like anomaly is the word that really stands out more than anything else.
I hear the theme song elevated. I'm just like, I'm ready to run through a wall. Like, let's
Yeah.
go. Having a good theme, like him and Cody have two of the best themes in wrestling, and they're two of the top guys here on my list. So, that's it. All right. Well, I can hear House Hardy is ready.
Yeah. All right.
House Hardy is ready to get dead
All
back.
right,
So,
Evie. Let me finish, okay? I'm gonna have to
I
take
don't want to
away
waste
your
any more
headphones.
time.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye. I'm gonna be out. I'm gonna finish. See you, Barty. Out.
It's
Bye.
chaos.
Bye. See you, Barty. Bye.
It's chaos.
Barty.
Oh,
I know you're
goodness.
fine. Barty, who is your number one wrestler in the world?
15,000.
What?
15,000.
Who is your top pro wrestler?
Who's
in the
your
world?
favorite
Who's
pro wrestler?
I would actually say Maxwell.
Max
Or
or
you.
okay, Maxwell or
Okay.
me. I'll take that.
Okay.
I'll take that.
That's
Maxwell or me.
Hey,
Sounds
Maxwell has beat Disco Inferno.
That's wrestling, guys.
Yeah.
And Max.
He does qualify.
He has beat Disco Inferno. Oh my goodness.
He's qualified.
What
And
an
Rock's supposed to play.
episode this was. Great list, Matt Hardy. Let us know yours, guys. Tweet at us at Matt Hardy Pod.
Yeah.
Let us know who you guys would say is your top 5 in the world. And thanks to Matt Green for putting this seed in my head for a show, because I thought this was great insight. I love picking your brain about the X's and O's of pro wrestling. So it's always good. So I appreciate that, Matt, and thank you to everyone who joined along here. You can head on over to advertisewithhardy.com. Promote your business to the extreme. Get out in front of thousands of listeners and viewers every single week. Advertisewithhardy.com. Good stuff, Matt. Anything else you want to add here?
Yeah, man. This was a fun discussion. A nice episode. And I really am curious to get feedback. So if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, please send us a comment. Put it out on social media. I want to hear who your top 5 wrestlers are. See where you line up with myself and John. Very curious.
My skin's dying because you're under it. I'm done lying to myself for this. For all the wondering, believing that it's making me weak. I'll fade away and classify myself as obsolete. My skin's dying.
savewithconrad.com.
I'm Nick Castillo from Waterville, Ohio. I've listened to several of his podcasts for a few years and have always heard the ads for Save with Conrad. And my wife and I were looking to refinance, and we had looked into a couple different options. And then I had remembered one of the ads and contacted you guys, and here we are. We had some debt that we accumulated, and we wanted to pay it down, get everything in under a much better, more manageable APR. So smooth. I've never had anything finance go that easy. We got a chance to work with Francis and Larry. They made everything comfortable. They were very personable. They were on top of everything. They made sure we were on top of everything. They were with us every step of the way, kind of guiding us. So like I said, I've never had an experience that went that smooth. Right off the bat, we saved at least $250 a month. Within a couple of months, we'll probably be at the $400 to $500 mark a month. I'm Nick Castillo from Waterville, Ohio, and I've saved over $400 a month with SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 32416, equal housing lender, SaveWithConrad.com.